I was cleaning out the basement when I found a box labeled Emergency Exit Plan. Inside were copies of my prenup, personal letters, and notes in my mother-in-law's handwriting. She'll crack by month 6. Start pushing for custody early. I brought it upstairs and placed it on the kitchen table. My husband said nothing. I said, "You have 24 hours to decide whose house this is. Mine or hers." He slept on the couch that night. The next morning, she was gone. This happened last year, but I still think about it every day. I live in Asheville, North Carolina. Quiet town, lots of trees, everyone smiles at each other. The kind of place people move to for peace. I used to feel peaceful here, too. My name's Rachel.
I'm 38.
I met Nick when I was 33. He was 36. I had just gotten promoted to mortgage underwriting manager at the bank. He was running his own home renovation business. Confident, easy to talk to, said he was ready for a real partner. That meant something to me at the time. We dated for 11 months before getting engaged. Married 6 months later. The wedding was small. My parents flew in from Oregon. His mom, Helen, said she was too sick to travel.
I didn't argue.
She'd never been warm to me. Never even looked me in the eye the 2 times I met her before the wedding. After the wedding, she called to congratulate Nick. She never spoke to me, but I didn't want to start our marriage with drama, so I let it go. I shouldn't have. We bought a 3-bedroom house together, just outside town. Big enough for guests, maybe a kid someday. Nick said he wanted kids. I believed him. Helen moved in during COVID. Just for a few weeks, he said. She's high risk, he said. That was 3 years ago. At first, it was little things. She'd accidentally use my towel. She put her name on food I'd bought. She said my cooking smelled too foreign. I'm white. From Oregon. I cook with garlic. She rearranged the kitchen without asking. I asked her to put it back. She said, "This house needs a woman's touch." I said, "I am the woman." She just smiled. Every time I brought it up to Nick, he brushed it off. She doesn't mean anything by it. She's old school. She'll be out soon. She never left. The tension built up slow, like a slow leak in a tire. I stopped inviting friends over. I started eating lunch in my car during work just to get space. Then there was the prenup. I brought it up before we married. I had savings. My own condo I sold to help with the down payment on this house. He agreed, signed without issue, said he respected that I was careful. So imagine my shock when I found a plastic tub in the basement labeled in thick black Sharpie, Emergency Exit Plan. I was deep in spring cleaning mode, pulling down boxes, sweeping corners, trying to reclaim some control over my life. This bin was tucked behind the water heater, heavy, like someone wanted it hidden. I opened it. Inside were folders. One said Rachel. I opened it. Inside were copies of our prenup. My signature, his. Then screenshots of emails I'd sent Nick over the years. Some were about fights, some about feeling isolated. Personal stuff. Not anything sinister, but emotional. Things I never expected anyone else to read. Then I found the notes. In Helen's handwriting. She's not stable. Start planting the seed now. Custody will be easier if he looks like the calm one. She'll break by month 6. Don't react. Let her look unhinged. If she runs, he gets the house. She can't afford to fight it. Don't tell her about the lawyer yet. There were even pages printed from my internet history. Fertility forums. Mental health blogs. She'd been tracking me. That moment broke something in me. It wasn't just her. It was him. He let this happen. He let her do this under his roof. I stood in the basement for a long time. Then I carried the box upstairs and set it on the kitchen table. Nick was watching TV. He looked up. His eyes hit the label. He went still. He didn't say a word. Not "what's that?" Not "where did you find it?" He knew. I looked at him and said, "You have 24 hours to decide whose house this is.
Mine.
Or hers." He didn't fight.
Didn't ask for time.
He just sat there like a man who got caught cheating and didn't want to dig the hole any deeper. That night, he slept on the couch. The next morning, Helen was gone. But he didn't apologize. He didn't explain. And that was worse. Because what I learned next made everything that much darker. Prompt: continue the story, add conflicts or story twist, keeping the details sharp and the tone dramatic. Use simple words. No ending yet. Here's the continuation of the story with more conflict and new twists, keeping the tone intense and the details sharp. After Helen left, the house felt different. Quieter. But not in a peaceful way. More like the air had been sucked out. Nick acted like it was over. Like she was the problem, and now she was gone, so we could just move on. But I couldn't. I didn't sleep much that week. I kept thinking about that box. The way her handwriting danced around my life, like it was a plan to be executed. Like I was a mission. A target. And the worst part, Nick had known. Maybe not every detail, but enough. I didn't throw the box away. I kept it in the trunk of my car. One night, I asked him straight out, "How long did you know?" He rubbed his face like he was tired. Like he was the one being tested. "She brought it up after our first anniversary. She thought you weren't handling things well." I stared at him. "And you believed her?" "I didn't know what to believe. You were always upset. You were pulling away. You let her track my internet history. You let her write notes about taking my house, and kids I don't even have yet." He looked away. That told me everything. I started sleeping in the guest room. 2 weeks later, I came home and saw Nick's truck in the driveway. But the house was locked from the inside. I knocked. He opened the door slowly. He looked annoyed. Behind him, I heard voices. Female voices. I pushed past him and walked in. Helen was sitting in my living room with a woman I didn't recognize. She looked like a lawyer. Black binder. Neat hair. "What the hell is this?" I asked. Helen looked up like nothing was wrong. "We're reviewing some property documents." I turned to Nick. "You brought her back?" "She's just visiting." "No." I cut him off. "You don't get to play dumb anymore." The lawyer stood up. "This isn't a good time. We can reschedule." I stepped between her and the door. "What are you doing here?" She hesitated, then said, "Mr. and Mrs. Carter." "Don't call me that," I snapped. "He can't even look me in the eye." Helen said, "Maybe if you'd done your part, none of this would be necessary." My mouth went dry. "What part?" "Surviving you?" Nick stayed quiet. That night, I packed a suitcase and drove to a friend's place. I needed space. But more than that, I needed proof. I needed to know how deep this went. I had the name of the law firm. I called them. Told them I was requesting copies of any documents with my name on them. A week later, they sent me a file. Inside were drafts. Divorce filings. Custody motions, pre-filled and signed. All dated before Helen even moved in. They had started planning my removal a year into the marriage. I started seeing a lawyer of my own. Quietly. I wanted to play it smart. I wasn't going to be the one who cracked. But the real twist came 3 weeks later. Helen had filed a police report. She said I'd stolen private property from their home. She meant the box. The same box with my emails, my name, my internet history. I didn't even find out about the police report from Nick. I got a call from an officer while I was at work. Said they needed to ask a few questions about an alleged theft. When I asked what this was about, he mentioned a plastic container with sensitive documents. My stomach dropped. I didn't panic. I just said, "Sure, happy to come down." That night, I sat in a small interview room in the Asheville Police Department with a folder on the table in front of me. The officer, polite but firm, asked how I came into possession of the box. "I found it in my basement, in my home," I said clearly. He nodded. "The complainant claims the documents were hers. I have personal emails in there. Notes written about me. She printed my search history from my laptop. Is she admitting to that now?" He paused. "We're just trying to figure out the chain of custody." I said, "Let me be clear, I didn't steal anything. What I found was evidence of harassment and premeditated legal manipulation." The interview didn't go much further. No charges were filed. But the damage was done. Nick had let her file it. He didn't stop her. That night, I showed up at the house with a locksmith. Changed every lock. I had the deed. The prenup was airtight. The house was in my name, part of my premarital assets. I had the lawyer check every clause. Nick came home around 9.
Tried his key.
It didn't work. He knocked. I opened the door halfway. You changed the locks? He asked, stunned.
Yeah.
And your name's not on the title. You're serious. Dead serious. He looked at me like I'd hit him. You're blowing this out of proportion. I'm protecting myself. Something you never did.
He left.
I didn't ask where he went. A few days later, I got a letter. Not from him, from Helen's lawyer. It said Helen was now pursuing legal action for emotional damages and unauthorized exposure of private documents. They accused me of violating her privacy rights. I brought it straight to my lawyer. She read it and raised her eyebrows. This is smoke. They're trying to scare you. Well, it's working, I said. She smiled. Then it's time to scare them back. That's when we started building the case. We subpoenaed the email records, dug through Helen's social media. My lawyer even hired a tech expert to trace browser logs. The man uncovered something big. Turns out Helen had been accessing our home Wi-Fi through a hidden surveillance app. She had set it up on a device tucked behind the TV, one Nick helped install. It was recording audio. She'd been spying on our conversations. My lawyer froze when she saw the report. If we can prove this was used to manipulate a legal outcome, even just planning one, we could sue for damages. Serious ones. And just like that, the table started to turn. But Nick wasn't done yet. At that point, it felt like my entire life had become a courtroom waiting to happen. Helen was coming after me with fake emotional damage claims. Nick was pushing for a legal separation based on lies. And I couldn't sleep without imagining them whispering somewhere, trying to decide what to do next. But I wasn't sitting still. My lawyer filed a motion for discovery. We requested every communication between Helen and Nick. Emails, texts, calls. And when they stalled, we got a judge to issue a deadline. They handed over the emails late, but not before my lawyer found a thread that changed everything. Nick had emailed Helen 2 years ago, right after we started talking about trying for kids. He said, "She's too soft. It'll fall apart before we even get to daycare. Better to start shifting things now. You were right about the trust account." That's when I found out Nick had opened a secret bank account under his name, but with Helen listed as an authorized user. It was being funded from our joint account. My money. He was moving money out slowly. Small transfers. $200 here, $500 there. Over 2 years, he took over $28,000. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just sat there with the paper in my hand and felt like the inside of me had gone cold.
He was using me.
Not just emotionally. Financially. I had been a stepping stone. Something to drain, weaken, then walk away from. Like they had planned it all along. That same week, I filed a lawsuit against both Helen and Nick. Invasion of privacy. Emotional distress.
Theft. Fraud.
They both tried to play victim. But it didn't work. When it came out in court that Helen had been recording audio in the house without my consent, the judge nearly hit the ceiling. Add in the financial deception, the premeditated emails, and the fake police report, it turned from a civil mess into something more serious. Helen got hit with a restraining order and was forced to pay fines for privacy violations. Nick was ordered to pay back every penny he'd taken with interest. My lawyer made sure it went public, and when it did, his contracting business dried up overnight. No one wanted to hire a man who stole from his wife and helped his mother spy on her. They'd planned my breakdown. Instead, they got theirs. And me? I didn't walk away clean. I had trusted too easily. Ignored signs I shouldn't have. I wanted a family so badly I tolerated things no one should have. That's on me. But I walked away stronger. I sold the house a few months later. Took the money and moved to a small cabin on the edge of the Pisgah forest.
Quiet.
Safe.
Mine.
Sometimes I still think about Helen's notes. She'll crack by month 6. Start pushing for custody early. If she runs, you get the house. I didn't run. I burned the whole plan to the ground.